might not like it. Get off the field.
I don't know about you all, but it's looking like hunting season on First Take. Ray Lewis looking like a young buck. The man doesn't age, ready to go play. The Hall of Famer joining us now. And he's also on the advisory board of the Professional Fighters League as well, the PFL. We'll get into that in just a bit. Ray, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you guys for having me. Max,
what's up, Big Time? What's going on, Big Time? How you doing, man? I mean, looking buff as always.
I always say, stay ready. You ain't never got to get ready.
That's first team, all-time, all NFL defense.
Max, what's up, man?
Going on, Ray?
Everything's good.
All right, Ray, let's start with your Ravens, because we've talked about this at nauseum on this show. Obviously, we all love your quarterback, Lamar Jackson. He's something special. But be honest, can he take this team to a Super Bowl? Can they win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson as the quarterback and these passing struggles people talk about?
Yeah, I think you can, but I think you have to surround him around the things that he needs. You know, you think about anytime you get into the playoffs, right? You're dealing with a Patrick Mahomes, all of these type of guys who's throwing the ball to legit wide receivers, right? And we have to add to Hollywood Brown. We have to add to the tight end collection. We have to put a guy at the X position, at the Z position, you know? And so when you think about how do you help Lamar, you have to put pieces around Lamar to help Lamar. If you think about, you know, I get it, right? That we're the number one rush team in football the last 2 years. And that's great. That's great to be able to do that. But to go to the next level, you're going to have a big play X or Z on the outside that gives Lamar, takes a lot of pressure off Lamar when Lamar is doing what he does. So yeah, can he do it? Absolutely. But you're going to have to surround him around the right pieces for sure.
I completely agree with you, Ray Lewis. I think anybody that knows football would completely agree with you. So I'm going to put you somewhat on the spot with this question here. Considering how obvious it appears, I like Eric DeCosta, and we always talk about the players, but we got to talk about the greatness of Ozzie Newsome, because for years, obviously, he oversaw this franchise, and he walked away in 2018. I'm saying, hey, wait a minute. I don't know if that's a question we would be asking if Ozzie Newsome was still at the helm. I know you talked about what the Baltimore Ravens need to do. Are you confident they'll be able to do what you just suggested?
You know what? Even though Ozzie has, stepped down from his role, one of the things he will never step away from the game. And I think he still has influence when it comes to Eric, right? I think he really still gives him advice when it comes to that. But look, I think the organization in general, everybody has to know that when you have a talent and you have a skill like Lamar Jackson, the bottom line is make him happy. How do you make him happy? You bring in those type of receivers that he can be comfortable with and he can grow with. And so I think Eric and all of the Ravens organization, I think they understand that has to be a priority in this year's draft for sure.
Right. I just got done talking about the Packers, how they can address their needs in the draft, but the Ravens also look set up to do that, and it's a deep draft for wideouts, which is certainly what they need, a dynamic weapon. What do you think about your quarterback backing up, probably backing up, or that's the idea anyway, in Philly?
Joe Flacco.
That's right. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah,
yeah, that's him. You forgot about him.
I think when you think about a big arm, right? It's the one thing that the guy has, right? He has a freaking cannon. And if you think about what Philly's struggles are, right? How do you get the ball downfield? That's the new game, right? That's the new game that everybody is now playing and bought into, right? Which is what made the Super Bowl so lopsided, right? Because Patrick Mahomes was known for the big ball downfield, and they took that away from them, right? So when you think about Joe Flacco, it's that big arm that people are really attracted to that can make any throw on the football field. So I can see why they would bring him up as a backup in Philly for sure.
Ray, you'll be very happy with the subject that I'm about to bring up, because you've sounded off on this issue on many, many occasions, and that is, basically the NFL being so damn soft, just doing everything it can to help offenses and not taking care of defenses the way that it should. Every damn penalty under the sun gets called against y'all. You complained about that years ago. I want to know how you're feeling about the overall NFL game now, particularly as the defensive side of the ball is officiated.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to watch the game, right? If you go back, I'm gonna just give you a few names, and you guys tell me why you remember them. When you think about Jack Lambert, when you think about Dick Bucks, when you think about Mike Singletary, when you think about Ronnie Lott, when you think about those type of players, what do you think about? You think about physical football. You think about having defenders, having receivers, and offensive coordinators fear you because on the other side you can deliver that hit. But now, Stephen, Max, we're talking about. I turned the TV off in the Super Bowl once they made those few calls against Kansas City. Because you can't call those type of calls, but that's the way the game has gone. And the essence of the game, right? The essence of the game is you buckle both chin straps up and you pay a price if you come across the middle. And that isn't the answer anymore, man. And it's just really hard to watch football, even from the collegiate level. The collegiate level frustrates me the most, right? Because these kids, they bust their behind, and you don't know these kids' situations. And they make one mistake, and it's not a mistake because it's the only way to play the game. You have to have your head. Your head is on your shoulders. Your head is not going to move. So you have to play the game, guys. And to see them kick a kid out of the game, to see them kick them out for the second, it's outrageous.
A playoff game.
Yeah. It's just you can't do the game like that because you dilute it, right? And every day, like guys like myself having these conversations, and honestly, guys, seriously, it's just hard to watch, man. It's really hard to watch. Yeah.
Well, someone who's easy to watch, Ray, is, I talked about you were all first team, all-time NFL defense. Think of guys like LT, when I was a kid, Bruce Smith, more recent years, J.J. Watt, back in the day, Reggie White. We're talking about the greatest front seven guys of all time, but one of them is still playing at a very high level, and that's Aaron Donald. First team, as far as I'm concerned, all-time, all NFL defense. What are your thoughts watching Aaron Donald today?
Straight animal. Listen, Aaron is one of those people that you run to the TV to watch, right? And they come around every few years, but because his motor never stops. And you know what he's figured out? Seriously, the cameras can be wherever they want to be. It's a one-on-one battle. If you watch him, how he plays the game one speed. Why? Because the people that's in front of him, he know he's outworking most of them. He's outworking every one of them. So when you watch him, you're not only just watching a dominant player, you're watching a skillful player, right? If you watch Aaron Donald hands, right? And this is for a young kid who don't understand how he gets so many sacks. Watch how active his hands are. And when you as a defensive player, you just named Reggie White, you named Bruce Smith, you named Lawrence Taylor, Derek Thomas, those guys were magicians when it came to using their hands. And that's what makes Aaron Donald so dominant, right? He doesn't need to be 6'5". He doesn't need to be 6'6". His height on where he is keeps his pad level so up under the offensive lineman, he changes the entire game every time. That's why he's so disruptive, right?
Best defensive tackle ever? Is he the best defensive tackle ever?
That's a hard conversation to put him in at this young of a stage in his career. It's just too many guys that's come before that's done some things that I've seen that is just unbelievable from the defensive tackle position.
Ray, let me take this to a macro level, sort of going back to what I mentioned earlier. When you saw I know you lamented the calls that were made against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but nevertheless, it had to touch your heart in a beautiful way. Even though I know how much respect you got for Tom Brady, but it had to touch your heart in a beautiful way to watch Tampa's defense do what it did to remind us all how important defense is to the game. What did Kansas City and that high-powered offense losing the Super Bowl in the dominant fashion that Tampa Bay beat them up with? What did that do for the game of football moving forward in your mind?
I'm going to tell you what it does, Stephen, and it does what it should have done. The general behind that defense is Todd Bowles. What Todd Bowles done with that defense, I'm telling you guys, and that's why you watch. I was watching you guys earlier, them bringing all of those guys back. They know what they have, right? They have a chance to go back and do it again and again until people stop it. Because what Todd Bowles done with that defense, when you got Devontae Davis and you got them boys running around behind pseudonym and Barrett and JPP on the outside, man, let me tell you something. When you have a front seven that dominant, listen to me, you don't have to blitz.